start. Alright, let's just make sure I am live before I start sending out notifications. Revelation reading and project UNtrigger. And okay, we're gonna do a quick mic test. 1 2 1 2. This is Holly Baglio, your hostess with the mostest, broadcasting to you live right here from Holly Television Studios in my beautiful garden home state of Nazi, New Jersey. I want my HTV. And we are going to read Revelation, but I'm going to start off first by talking about Project UNtrigger and what that's all about, and to remind everybody and tell everybody what Abba has given to me, as well as you'll see. I'll walk us through it, but I definitely wanted to talk about it. Join me. That's what I forget to say, is join me live, you know. When people say, join me live, and they come in, they get all upset. They're like, Holly, why aren't you talking to me? Like, I can't talk in your chat room. I'm blocked and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's because you're watching the archived video. Give me a moment. Where am I? See what a pain in the neck that is. I gotta stop following him. I'm not big on him anymore. Get rid of that. There you are. And okay, hold on one moment. Revelation reading and project UNtrigger. And okay, we're gonna do a quick mic test. 1 2 1 2. This is Holly Baglio, your hostess with the mostest, broadcasting to you live right here from Holly Television Studios in my beautiful garden home state of Nazi, New Jersey. I want my HTV. And we are going to read Revelation. All right, sweet. I am rocking now, I think. One moment. Hey, Zero Infinity. Tommy Freelander, how are you? I want to finish that document with my drawings in it. But you know what I'll do is I will run a video with that document so you can see it now, before I get a chance to email it out to you. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tommy. I was wondering where you were. Victoria. So first I'm going to start with Project UNtrigger, and then I'm going to discuss Revelation. We'll see how far we get through Revelation. It might come in even more parts. But like I said, I need to figure out what this whole harvest thing is. In chapter 14, the harvest of the earth, starting at verse 14. So I figure while I figure out what that means, I would do it with you guys. And that means from me asking the question, I'll read the whole chapter, and then I'll figure out what it all means with you guys, and you guys can see how Yud Hey Vav Hey and I do it. And I can share that process with you. I got like mousse in my hair and hairspray. Before, it was so stiff, it was like cement. I was like, oh my God, what happened? So then now I tried to break it apart so it feels soft and stuff, but now it's all like stringy and pokey and not really. People call it product. I got product in my hair. Yeah, well, I can't stand product in my hair. That's why I twirl it around my fingers when it's wet, and I leave it like that. And when it dries, it just stays like that. And I don't need product and mousse and crap. Plus, the bugs like it too much. So, it's just as well I hide behind the mic anyway, right? Nah, I'm always hiding behind hats and icons. You guys must forget what I look like. So I look like See, okay. My hair is curly. So sorry I'm like 4 hours late. And Bug Bouncer, I'm so glad you're here. Definitely. Definitely. So we can learn the Bible together. And when you read Revelation or hear Revelation, you get a direct blessing from Yud Hey Vav Hey. But the trick is you got to listen to it from beginning to end. The canon of Revelation. So. Hey, Brian Griffin, how are you? Yeshua blessings. Okay. Project UNtrigger. Yud Hey Vav Hey. I was asking. Here, I got to stand up for a little bit. I asked Heavenly Abba really what to do with myself, and I really need to get back to doing my broadcast on fringeradionetwork.com because I'm good at broadcasting. I got a lot of great ideas. I mean, I can just broadcast a monologue on my own. And, but I would like to have some guests come on with me, which that takes preparation sometimes. So I said to Heavenly Abba, I'm at rock bottom right now with TMJ. There's a few things going on in my personal life that are absolutely atrocious. I mean, terrible. You can see it's a spiritual attack manifested in reality. So then I said, Heavenly Abba, I want a project to do. What could I do? And how do I get out of this MK Ultra programming? And here are my thoughts about it. And what should I do with myself, Heavenly Abba? I'm kind of at a place where I'm at rock bottom, Abba. I'm on my feet at rock bottom, but I am so at rock bottom, it's not funny. What do I do with myself? So, and how do I handle my healing process? What do I do? How do I untrigger when I'm triggered? When they target my MK Ultra programming and try to access it, to play games, or worse, to call me back active, or just to solely to attack me, so it's more torture. But Heavenly Abba gave me Project UNtrigger. So when I'm triggered by people or entities, when I get triggered, Abba is giving me Project UNtrigger. So I was programmed to fairy tales such as Alice in Wonderland, Labyrinth with David Bowie, and certain other ones. And it was always kid fairy tales. And so Heavenly Abba is now giving me the storyline that I can follow. So when they trigger the MK Ultra programming to access my mind, okay? Now I've showed you guys this, right? We're going to go through Project UNtrigger. So this is a map of my mind, right? Here are various topic MK Ultra and Super Soldier programs I've been exposed to. Not all of them, just some of them. Over here is the different tiers, which is the skill sets, and usually 3 altars spin at one time, and that's what a tier is. Sometimes there's standalone altars, but not often. Then there's more tiers and programs that I don't know about, because I was programmed 313, which is 13. It's 3 altars at once and 13 levels. And as you can see on the map of my mind, I only go down to level 13. So I definitely trust Yud Hey Vav Hey, and that Yeshua HaMashiach is bigger than MK Ultra and Super Soldier projects. So when it comes to things unknown and hidden to me about how Joseph Mangley rewired my brain, I trust in him that it's in his hands and he's got complete and utter control over me. And I pray that he stands between me and my enemies and never lets my enemies come to sift me, and that he has complete control of me and my mind at all times, as well as my chakras and that third eye. So, guys, don't forget about chakras too, because that's a hot topic I should have been talking about all along, but I didn't talk about chakras for a lot of different reasons. But anyway, so, and this last time they were cross-program triggering me. That's a term that I got from Safi. Cross-programming triggering. So they would grab a tier from Alpha, a tier from Beta, a tier from Mannequin, a tier from Ibis, and activate them. And as you can see, there's different tiers, but they go further and beyond tier 11. And so a tier is 3 altars at one time. All right, and I've been in multiple projects, so it wasn't that they would, I remember back in the day when it was easy, when they would only trigger Project Ibis. So it was only Ibis that was triggered. Well, recently I got hit with Alpha, Beta, Delta, I think Gamma was in there, and you got no idea. And it was multiple programs. So anyway, I can't say his name. I wish I could, but my one friend has had a significant hand in Project UNtrigger. I was getting extremely triggered. Another super soldier from Project Delta had reached out to me and said, Holly, do you know who your real core / raw personality is? And I could just feel it right there that was some sort of trigger, especially because we're both from Project Delta, different generations, but both from the same project. And I could feel it come over me then that was some sort of trigger. And also don't forget COVID, the Delta variant. My altar saw that Delta variant from a mile away, and I'm from Project Alpha, Beta, Delta, Gamma, Theta, Omega, Epsilon, and Upsilon. Then you have Psi. I was a part of so many projects. I don't really know the names, and I don't remember what happened in most of them. I thought Epsilon was easy to get through, or Upsilon. I don't know. It's vague to me. Hey, Lincoln, it's great to see you. How are you doing? I'm explaining Project UNtrigger right now. I hope your remodeling of the house goes well for you, Brian. So to stay on topic, my friend had reached out and he's like, Holly, I see you're really upset. People are abusing your holy Bible codes. They're hitting on you. They're just taking advantage of you and just beating you up. And I reached out to make you happy and see how you were doing. And this is what I will say about my friend whose name I have to keep nameless. He's got access to things in the Smithsonian that you and I would drool to see. You and I daydream to see the things he has access to, and films. Okay, so I don't have permission to use his name or his pictures or anything else. And he reached out to me and he started sending me stuff. And him and I were talking about what Joseph Mangley did in the Dumbs. Him and I spoke about my Holy Bible codes. And we were talking about bloodlines, going to Thoth, but also going back to Atlantis and what, Adolf Hitler was doing with the backbreeding. And I do believe I am a result from those direct projects. At the end of World War II, Operation Paperclip saved thousands of Nazi elites and Nazi mastermind scientists, not average everyday Joe Schmoes, but they're elites, they're wealthy, and a lot of the officers and scientists of World War II. They were spared, Joseph Mengele being one of them. And I remember Joseph Mengele from when I was a little girl. No, I do not believe the Nazi mastermind Joseph Mengele drowned. Are you kidding me? He rewires brains. There's no drowning a Nazi mastermind. How about this? You guys are the average day or average Joe Schmo, average everyday person. He's a Nazi mastermind. You bought his lie, hook, line, and sinker. And I know it sucks to realize that we've all been misled. But hey, at least recognize the lie and then find the truth. And I do believe that Joseph Mengele and these Nazi scientists were successful in backbreeding. I think they were successful in age regression as well as life extension. This is all fallen angel, aka alien technology, and I am a result of that, I do believe. I believe that the book that Cisco Wheeler and Fitz Springmeier wrote about how Joseph Mengele was creating the Uberman and the kids in the cages, I believe I was one of those kids in the cage, and I take this stuff very seriously. And I'm not going to back down from my testimony because there's many people out there that are suffering and traumatized and tortured, and we can all come together and help each other, hopefully. But to help you guys understand the mind of an MK Ultra, I'm an ex-super soldier from deep underground military bases, the DUMS. I was on Black Ops, which is Black Operations. I was on Project Seagate, again, Black Operations, Black Ops. Project Seagate. Okay, there are approximately, I think, 48 Stargates worldwide, but there's only 3 Seagates worldwide. And Seagates are Stargates, but they're under the ocean. There's only 3 of them, and I believe I worked in front of one of them. So, my friend was trying to cheer me up, and he was showing me stuff that people know. There's things that everybody knows, and then there's other things that people do not know. And he was sharing with me things that people do not know or would not typically believe. Like, would you believe somebody if they came to you and said, listen, I was born 1762? Would you believe them? Anyway, I don't know that I would, to be honest. So I just threw an idea out at you. So, I have friends from various backgrounds and beliefs and thoughts and families and walks of life. And I love all my different friends, regardless of their sexual preferences, which are not my business. But I also don't want to be parading down any of our streets. But, he was cheering me up, and we were talking about bloodlines, and I told him about my Holy Bible Code, and then I shared with him my information and my thoughts of it. I told him about Thoth, Osiris, and Beelzebub, and my interminglings with Thoth. And we were talking, and he answered a lot of my questions, which I'm not going to discuss. And I just don't want to. It's not important. I know other people feed off of it, but I'm not going to let them. And I don't know. Anyway, it's my personal private background. I get to keep certain things private. So as him and I were talking about Thoth and the bloodline of Thoth. And as we were talking about my Holy Bible codes and stuff of that nature, and how to keep it short and sweet, we were talking about Thoth, the fallen angel, but also his bloodline, and Osiris, and stuff of that nature. And he had said something, and I said, that's odd, and I never thought of it before until just now. I used to carry 2 knives on me. One was named Aaron, but spelled Aaron, and both Aarons were people from the DUMS that I just always remembered and thought were my friends from the Doms, or just anyway. And then the other knife I carried was Moses, and I always thought it was Moses from the Holy Bible. Well, we can all get carried away in different timelines and different testimonies and different perspectives and versions of things. But I can never say that word right. But, because I come from Project Ibis, IBIS, which is the ibis bird, Thoth inscribed on the pyramids, and then the Thoth bloodline and the Thoth mummies. And, well, the only time, when Project Ibis is triggered, that's when as kids were beaten to believe a vast different array of things, and one was to believe that we were actual angels in human bodies. That's total MK Ultra. No, we're not. We're spirit beings in a human body, a meat suit, flesh suit. So we're spirit beings in a human body, and God came in human form in a human body as well. But we were brainwashed to think that we were actual angels, and now we're stuck in a human body form. And then, of course, if you think that you're a fallen angel and you look at all the gods and goddesses on the Egyptian pyramids and different pyramids inscribed all around the world, you start raising yourself up as a god, and before you know it, you're raising yourself above the God of gods, the host of hosts, Lord of lords, Yud-He-Vav-He. And that's not good. And people get running away too with bloodlines. They did it through my Holy Bible codes when they looked in and they thought they saw what I came from, and then they start talking about Mars and the throne room of Mars, and then they ran away with, it was like Gnosticism, I think. But they had the audacity, some people had the audacity to say, Holly, you're a direct relative of Jesus. And, if you were born back in the time that, if it had been you back then instead of Yeshua himself and they crucified you, it would have been just as applicable, because there was a whole bunch of Jesuses. And so that's how God had it. And I was total bullshit. And so people, you should be concerned with Yud-He-Vav-He's throne room, and that sits above all of us, the second heaven, and we're the first heaven. So his throne room sits above the earth, which is above, then comes outer space, and then comes him, the Alpha and the Omega. So I was getting heavily triggered, and with Ibis and my altars with Egyptology. I was brought up on Egyptian principles and Egyptology in the Domes. I was half raised in the Domes, and then I had a normal life, but I remember being taught and schooled in the Domes and their classrooms. I remember being a little kid in their playpens and the other little kids, so I remember half my life here and part of my life there. Hey, Dory Do, WP, it's great to see you. So I was raised with Egyptian principles, and I kept bumping into this person, Thoth Moses, and I kept saying to myself, oh no, Holly, you better listen to these Christians, because they know what they're talking about, and these Christians are saying that Thoth Moses is bad, and because it's Thoth, and Thoth, bad, but it still kept nagging at me. Well, when I was talking to my friend whose identity I cannot give, he and I were discussing Thoth as well as Thoth Moses. What is true is that the only time that the Holy Bible intersects with Egyptology and Egyptian principles and stories of their creation of the world and whatnot is Thoth Moses is the same Moses that's in the Holy Bible. Thoth is a fallen angel. We know the 15 or 17 emerald tablets of Thoth, the fallen angel. You look at those tablets and you're looking at his fallen angel writing. Well, his bloodline, his descendant bloodline, adopted a boy that they named Thoth Moses. Thoth Moses was a boy they found floating down a river, I think. Or no, was that Moses? I'm not sure. I'm getting the stories confused. But anyway, they adopted Moses. They brought him up on Egyptian principles and Egyptology. And then God decides to lead the slaves out of Egypt. And God tells Moses how to exit Egypt. And the slaves, with some Egyptians, all go out through the Red Sea parting, right? So anyway, hang on one second. Did I cover everything? So the only time the Bible intersects with Egyptology is with Moses. Everything else I have a discrepancy with. Egyptology is telling you the perspective from them, not the perspective from the Alpha and the Omega. If you want the Alpha and the Omega's perspective, then you read the Holy Bible. You want fallen angel perspective, then you read the Sumerian text, you read the Thoth's Emerald Tablets, you read whatever other stuff there is. Thanks, Becca. I thought, but forgive me, I get a little overwhelmed. Hey, Becca, Victoria. So anyway, my friend introduced me to Thoth Moses, and I finally caved. I finally gave it a chance. Instead of listening to these plastic Christians beating the carcass of a dead religion, I decided to actually give this a chance and look at Thoth Moses. That kept sticking out in my mind. And so then it brought me to... So what had happened was I was also raised on Egyptology and Egyptian principles when I was in the DUMS along with the other kids. So one morning here I was deprogramming, and I saw my altar in my mind's eye stand up, and she dropped the headdress, the jewelry, the Egyptian garb, and stepped out of all of it and just dropped it. And of course, take up and put on plain clothing, like I'm wearing plain clothing, but just drop the whole headdress, the dress, the jewelry, all of the Egyptian stuff, and just get rid of it and step out of it. So she ended up relating to Thoth Moses. Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh gave Thoth Moses the instructions on how to exodus from Egypt. There's a canon in our Bible named Exodus. We also get a second Exodus. There is no rapture. There's a second Exodus, as well as 2 resurrections. So I followed Thoth Moses out of Egypt, and I found him, Thoth Moses, in the Old Testament in the Bible, and I began to read about him. And I'm not finished, of course, I just started. But Moses was given the instructions on how to exit Egypt through the parting of the Red Sea. Aaron, the slaves, and some Egyptians went out of Egypt through the Red Sea parting. And God used Moses a bunch of times. He told Moses, and Moses was the one to tell Aaron how to pray for the Israelites and what to say. Very interesting. I also found that Moses' gravesite was never found. And I believe the reason why is because Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh time-traveled Moses from the Old Testament in Deuteronomy, I believe 34, because they couldn't find Moses' gravesite. I think that's because around Deuteronomy 34, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh time travels Moses to the New Testament, to the Mount of Transfiguration, where Moses was met with Elijah, who was also just time traveled. So Moses met Yeshua HaMashiach's 3 disciples, and Elijah. Now Elijah, did I write it down? Of course not. This is because I need to do it more thoroughly and go through it. Now, you got to look in the Old Testament for Elijah, but I did not write down Bible verses and chapters where you can find it. So, wait, Elijah taken. Yeah, but anyway, so Elijah's in the Old Testament. The thing with Elijah is that everybody knew God was going to take Elijah, including Elisha, Elijah's servant. Well, the servant Elisha ended up seeing the chariot God sent down that grabbed Elijah, his master, to swoop him off to time travel to the New Testament, to the Mount of Transfiguration with Yeshua HaMashiach, his 3 disciples, as well as Moses, who was time traveled there himself. Now, as Elisha, the servant, saw this, he grabbed a hold of Elijah's cloak. It tore off. A piece of the cloak tore off when God took him and time traveled him. Elisha was blessed because he saw all this happen in the chariots of Abba come get Elijah, and he was blessed with blessings and spiritual gifts just like Elijah had. But the Mount of Transfiguration, I do believe, can be found in 2 Kings 2. You'll find Moses, Elijah with a torn cloak, and Yeshua HaMashiach and 3 of his disciples. I believe one of them, possibly named James, built a tabernacle, one for Yeshua, one tabernacle for Moses, and one tabernacle for Elijah and Moses. Okay, so a tabernacle for Elijah, tabernacle for Moses, and a tabernacle for Yeshua. So, okay, time travel. Well, I was a part of Montauk. For me, finding time travel in the Bible, there's a 3rd place I found it with another kid named Barak, who went out to work in the field or whatever, fell asleep, and when he woke up to come back home, when he came back home, it was 60 years later, and everybody he knew died. So anyway, again, I still need to do more reading. But, well, what was this? Matthew. Oh, this is it. Matthew 17, Moses, Elijah, Yeshua HaMashiach, and the apostles. Oh, I screwed this up, guys. Okay, so the time travel in the Holy Bible, they went from the Old Testament, I think, to the New Testament, Matthew 17, which is the Mount of Transfiguration. Okay, so guys, look at Deuteronomy 34. I believe that's when Abba took Moses and time traveled him because no gravesite was found for Moses. I think the Mount of Transfiguration is 2 Kings 2. And then I write when Elijah is taken. So 2 Kings 2 should talk about Elijah taken. And Matthew 17 should talk about Moses, Elijah, and Yeshua HaMashiach's 3 apostles. Okay, there we go. Forgive me, I made a few mistakes. I just corrected myself. So right there, that crushed and I conquered IBIS programming. Because then I looked at Thoth Moses, who'd been raised with Egyptian principles, and I looked at my background from the DUMS in Project IBIS, and I conquered it in a matter of speaking. So when they target me and trigger my MK Ultra programming and I fall into that fog and darkness, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh gave me the storyline to grab my attention. So then I will be inclined to want to read my Holy Bible because he's going to give me the most interesting and exciting storylines and stories to read in the Bible of people that I can connect with. And when I do that and I find myself reading in the Bible, that's when Yeshua HaMashiach can jump off the page and cure and heal me and help me to understand things and give me insight and wisdom. And so just as I was programmed in these Super Soldier and MK Ultra projects, just like Project IBIS and any of the other MK Ultra projects, I was programmed along to fairy tale storylines. Well, Project UNtrigger, it's Abba giving me the interesting storylines from the Holy Bible that grab my attention. So then I can find myself reading the Holy Bible, interested in the Bible, relating to a character, a real person in the Bible. And that right there undoes the programming for me because I know that person that I'm relating to in the Bible has gone through it too. Elijah and Moses time traveled. That takes care of Project Pegasus, Project Looking Glass, sort of. Project Looking Glass isn't so much time travel as it is looking into the future. But nonetheless, that's more prophetic. But we'll get into that because I used Jeremiah to help me conquer Project Theta. Project Theta is psychic programming. The last thing we need is another self-elected, self-appointed nowadays prophet that only gets, at best, 80% of things correct. So Project Theta, to a degree, is psychic programming. Well, I decided to use a true blue psychic that Yud-Hey-Vav-Hey handpicked, that I know gets 110% of the prophecies correct, never made a mistake because Yud-Hey-Vav-Hey picked him and was working through him. Therefore, of course, he's not going to make a mistake because the Alpha and the Mega never makes a mistake. So when they trigger Project Theta for me, I untrigger, which means they're going to trigger me to be in that MK Ultra programming. I'm going to untrigger and get myself reading the Bible, which is a huge breakthrough. I worked for 7 years to be able to read the Bible when I'm triggered. When I'm triggered, the focus and concentration is just not there. My mind is somewhere else on other things. So when Project Theta is triggered and they are doing that psychic programming triggering, well, I'm just going to run to my Holy Bible and grab Jeremiah. Jeremiah knows about false doctrine, one being the rapture doctrine. The Illuminati families created it. Do you know what else the Illuminati's created? Yeah, me and the other kids that were trafficked. We were called Uberman, you say super soldier, augmented soldier, MK Ultra, what have you. So I just go find Jeremiah in the Bible, and he tells me about the second Exodus in chapters 28 through 33, which I can also find in Revelation when I read Lady and the Dragon. There too it talks about the second Exodus, which then gets rid of the false rapture doctrine, which is deceit and lies. Now I know the truth, which is we get a second Exodus. Also, we get a seventh trumpet and 2 resurrections. But I'm going to show you my drawings in a moment about that, which I also hung up. That's the New Jerusalem, by the way. We're going to get to that. But let's keep talking about Project Untrigger, because right now I'm giving you what I have. Hey, Aaron. And then I'll write it down. But this is what I got off the top of my head. So that other psychic nonsense, I go grab a real prophet. I don't grab I grab a real prophet. So I grab Jeremiah. We got rid of the false doctrine, dispensationalism of a rapture. We got to the truth. We get a second Exodus. Or the 144,000 sealed get a second Exodus. It's not going to be that large, guys, okay? You remember Noah and Noah's flood? It was only him, his 3 sons, and their wives that were spared. We're to that point again where it is to that length that only that many are going to survive. He's cleansing the earth from the tares, and he's getting rid of everything and everyone. So he's going to bring it down to 144,000 people. He's going to get rid of the tares. Just like he did during Noah's flood, but he spared Noah's family and sons, their wives, and all the animals on the ark. Anyway, so I picked Jeremiah for when I get programmed with Theta, or when I get targeted and they're trying to pick on me with Theta programming and trigger that. I just go read Jeremiah, as well as the woman and the dragon in Revelation, which is the sign in the heavens of Virgo constellation and Leo. But then what else do I have here? I'm not done, right? So that takes care of Theta. Jeremiah helps me. Also Project Looking Glass. Okay, that helps with Project Looking Glass. Jeremiah gets rid of the fake, false prophecy and doctrine of that rapture garbage, lies and deceit, and then Jeremiah gives me the truth of the second Exodus. So that takes care of Project Looking Glass as well as Theta. Time travel. We went through that before with Elijah, Moses, and the other one, Barak. Now, I'm not done. I'm about to conquer and kill the rest of it all too. So with Project Delta, I remember Commander saying, Holly, look at your hands. You can either build or you can destroy. I'm going to teach you how to destroy first. I don't ever remember being taught how to build. So I can get myself to that spot in my mind and stop there and then say, wait, Holly, I don't want to destroy. I want to build this time. Heavenly Abba, will you teach me how to build? These hands want to build now. Otherwise, I haven't figured anything else out with that yet. I thought for Project Gamma, because you know you got that movie Green Hawk, I thought for Project Gamma I could use Samson, right? Because when his hair grows long, he gets his hair back. When the Hulk gets mad and gets hit with gamma rays, he turns green. So I'm still working on Project Gamma, per se, to find a person in the Bible that I can relate to where they're struck with something they change, and that we're getting there. So I think it was Samson with the hair. But then you also have, I think it's Samuel. Yeah, that is the same one. I'm not done yet. Okay, so I was a part of Alpha, Beta, Delta, Gamma, Omega, Theta, Psi, Epsilon, Upsilon. Look at the Greek letters of the alphabet. I'm not sure if there's 22 or 24 letters of the Greek alphabet. I'm not positive. I'm still looking into this. But I'm going to tell you how to conquer all of those programs I just listed. Alpha, beta, delta, omega, theta, gamma. I'm leaving a whole bunch out. Psi. What are the other ones? All of them. There's an MK Ultra project, project and program for every letter of the Greek alphabet. Alpha means something, and it's also the programming of alpha. I don't remember the programming of every project. Delta is weapons and combat and warring. I know that. I remember that project vaguely, as I just explained to you. I don't really remember Project Gamma. I remember Project Beta. I've told you about that stuff before. I'm not too clear on the other projects, but each project goes along to the Greek letter looking like a symbol, and it has a meaning, and there's an MK Ultra and Super Soldier project behind it, and I was in it and trafficked through the military and government in these MK Ultra and Super Soldier projects with a bunch of other kids that Joseph Mengele, a Nazi mastermind scientist, created in a test tube. Not all together, of course. So when they target me and trigger the IBIS MK Ultra programming, I just go find Thoth Moses, follow him out of Egypt into the New Testament, Deuteronomy, and then I can read all the way to Matthew 7, the New Testament, where Thoth Moses meets Yeshua HaMashiach in person, God in human person. So that's pretty interesting and cool. For time travel and timelines, when it gets very confusing for me, I can pick Elijah from the Old Testament and follow him to the New Testament. I think that's 2 Kings too. So getting back to Alpha, Delta, Beta, Gamma, and all of that, the Greek letters. Well, in the Bible, Psalm 119 it's a poem, and in Psalm 119, you will see there is a letter, and then below that will be paragraphs. And in that paragraph, it's explaining the definition of that letter, but also telling a poem. Like Alf is the first letter of the alphabet in Hebrew. Well, if you look at Psalm 119, you will see the Alf, and then below that, you're going to read about that letter and its meaning in Hebrew. What did Yeshua HaMashiach speak? I think it was Aramaic. But anyway, Hebrew, right? Like if I could only read Hebrew, then I could read the Bible for how he spoke it and not have bothered with any other man's translations, interpretations, and spins on his truth. You know, because they add things, they add a rapture, and then they take away the second Exodus. They take away the 7th trumpet and 2 resurrections. So Psalm 119, my Holy Bible code here that you see right there, well, it runs through Holly Baglio and Holly Baglio Super Soldier, runs through all the books of the prophets in the Holy Bible. So in all the prophet books, Holly Baglio and Holly Baglio Super Soldier run through that. I run through Kings, Well, Samuel, I run through Psalms 119, 119. I forget where else in the Bible my name runs through. It's not just the prophets. It's also Psalm 119, and I forget where else. Jeremiah, my name comes out prominently in Jeremiah. And I think it's Jeremiah 30, 31, 32. I'm not quite sure. I had it written down somewhere. But so anyway, Holly Baglio in my Bible codes runs through Psalm 119. Well, instead of my altars looking at those Greek letters and being triggered by those Greek letters to the MK Ultra projects they put me through, I can now turn my focus to Psalm 119 and read my Bible where Yeshua can help me deprogram it. And instead of dealing with their Greek letters and their MK Ultra programming to said Greek letters, I can learn Hebrew and I can look at the Hebrew letters and what the Hebrew letters mean, and Psalms 119 will teach me all about it. And while I'm reading it and learning about it, Yeshua can deprogram me. So when they try to trigger Alpha in their Greek, I can turn to Psalm 119 and look at the Elf, pronounce it in Hebrew and pronounce it correctly, and then I can read about the letter. And I can zone myself out to meditating on his living logos, so to speak, that way. And then when they try to get me with Project Beta, the sex programming, well, instead of dealing with that, I can go to Psalm 119 and look up bet. Learn what bet is and how to say it and what it means. And then before you'll know it, I'll understand every letter of the Hebrew alphabet, how to write it, how to correctly pronounce it. And then that's a start to me reading the Hebrew Bible on my own, so I won't need man's translations and traditions and spins. I am talking so much that I might not get around to finishing the reading of Revelation, in which case I'll change the title of this video, but it doesn't always change on every page. But we will finish reading Revelation. But I do want to talk about Project UNtrigger, and I do still want to talk about Revelation, and I want to show you guys something about Revelation, my drawings. But first, let me finish Project UNtrigger. Okay, so Steve Amo, how are you? Hey, Joni Valentina, how are you? Greetings, Paula, Tommy. Hang on a sec. So, I can't give you information on Thoth Moses and Thoth the Bloodline. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't want to talk about what Joseph Mengele created in the test tube and stuff like that. But to get out of Project Ibis triggering, what is with this? Come on. Find Thoth Moses. Forgot what I was saying. Hey, citizen. My camera's pissing me off right now. Come on. It took forever. So Project Alpha, Beta, Delta, that's all Greek. They're Greek letters. I'm going to throw that out, and I'm going to turn to Psalm 119, learn Hebrew, and learn the Hebrew letters. And so when they try to trigger those programs in me, I am going to untrigger myself and find myself reading in the Bible and deprogramming from what they're doing, and then learning what Yeshua wants me to learn, which I think he would want me to learn Hebrew language. And why not? It's interesting, right? There's other languages I want to learn too, and that I have learned, but I've forgotten. Like I forgot Italian, I forgot Spanish. But anyway, so that's how you conquer Psi, Epsilon, Upsilon, Beta, Delta, Alpha, Theta programming. Go to Psalm 119 and look at the Hebrew letters and the Hebrew meanings. And when you read the chapter, the paragraphs under each of the Hebrew letters in Psalm 119, it is explaining the meaning of the letter, but it's also a poem, and it's really, really awesome. It's great to see you, citizen of Gotham. More like fight realm, because Project Delta is weapons and warring and hand-to-hand combat. You don't want people triggered on Delta. We're not going to sleep. We're going to war. You trigger Project Delta. You've never seen somebody triggered who is from Project Delta. If you think it's going to put us to sleep, it doesn't. Complete opposite effect. So, anyway, this is Project Untrigger and how you untrigger yourself when they're targeting you. The only way out is Yeshua HaMashiach. That's why Yeshua says in the Bible, he is the only way, the only truth, the only life, the only light, okay? Because then you got Lucifer, the fake light, posing as the morning star. Well, he's the light bearer. But anyway, he's the fake light, being the fake Jesus. But Yeshua HaMashiach knew what he was saying in the Bible when he spoke it. When he spoke and he said, I am the only truth. I am the only life. I am the only way. The only way out of MK Ultra programming is to be listening to his word or reading his word, because then you're going to be praying, and that's going to open up lines of communication where his Holy Spirit, our companion, who was left here after he ascended from being crucified and dying for our sins, he resurrected and he ascended, but his male Holy Spirit is left here as our companion. But if we hear the Bible and read the Bible and we ask him as our Savior and we acknowledge that he is our one true living infinite God and Creator, he will come in and he will be able to get you out of this MK Ultra fog and the darkness of it. So when they're triggering you to go active like me, when they trigger me, they're trying to trigger me to go active and come back. Joseph Mengele said if I ever went back, they would kill me. Or then you get the Stunans, such as SRA, who writes hate email, and in her hate email, she's trying to get my altars to shut down the beating of my heart. I kid you not. Look at, I made a video this morning talking about it in depth, but also I made a video of her hate email, and she was obviously calling out names that she thought were altar names that would trigger these altars to go active and shut down the beating of my own heart. It's called suicide programming. So she's caught red-handed, and I don't want to talk about it anymore, but it is really important that I bring these up. So, oh, yeah, well, see, of course, I'm sorry, citizen, thank you. Let me clarify, too, that's another thought. So alpha, beta, delta, gamma, they're all brainwaves, right? Like citizen is saying. Thank you for bringing this up. Forgive me, too. But see, they're all brainwaves. So now that you know, I've been through those projects, right? But they target, even for somebody that's not been through these MK Ultra and Super Soldier projects, the everyday common person, because they're exposed to the Gwen Tower frequency and the chemtrails and the frequencies bouncing off, the chemtrails, but the scalar waves, all the different waves coming at us. It affects our brain waves, alpha brainwave, beta brainwave, delta brainwave. And if it's affecting our brainwaves, it's affecting our thoughts, our decisions. It's affecting everything to our organs, our brains, our kidneys, liver, gallbladder, intestines large and small, stomach, lungs, heart, blood, skin, veins, arteries, chambers of the heart, capillaries, hair, eyes, nose, smell, taste, our ears. So they're attacking our brain waves, which then in turn are attacking our physical body, our physiological body. And when you pull a body physically down, of course, you're going to emotionally get depressed. If you go from a fully active martial artist to being partially bedridden, yeah, that's going to turn your life upside down in emotional in an emotional manner, and yeah, you're going to be depressed to say the least, but also mentally going from that extreme independence and confidence and power and strength to now nothing, being defenseless on your back, so to speak, or curled in a fetus position. We have to remember that these variants, even if you're not from the DUMS or these MK Ultra projects, to an extent, see what they did to me in the DUMS, the trauma and torture that the kids and I underwent being locked in a cage and stuff. They perfected these trauma and torture techniques. So now you don't have to be traumatized and tortured. Now what they have you doing, they did a very nice trick, is they have people spending a massive amounts of money for entertainment, football games, watching cable, watching programs, video games, movies, all these series that go on, some in the summer, some in the winter, some in the fall. And right through there, you are being mind controlled and MK Ultra'd. They don't have to lock you in a cage and drown you and rape you and beat you anymore to hypnotize you and get through to all areas of your brain. These are, Joseph Mengele was a Nazi mastermind. He could hypnotize a person and get into the very areas of the brain where, how you blink and you don't think about your eyes blinking. How about your heart beating? You don't think about it, but your heart's going to keep beating anyway, right? Well, these Nazi mastermind white lab coats, Joseph Mengele, that's also the part of the brain where they will instill the suicide programming, is in that part of the brain that your brain tells your eyes when to blink and your heart when to beat. That's where they instill the suicide programming, and that programming is basically your body telling itself to shut down. It tells your major organs to stop functioning, shut down. It tells your heart to stop beating, shut down. That's programming. Mind over matter, so to speak. Now, where was I? Psalm 119, conquering that. Okay, so the brain waves, these different variants, and on a grand mass scale, like the whole entire general population is mind controlled. Look at what's happening with the punch in the arm. Look at what's going on around you. And the only way out of that mind control is Yeshua. That's why he said he is the only way. And he is the only way out. He's the only way out of Egypt. He's the only way out of mind control. And for someone like me that's programmed from the DUMS and stuff like that, please take heed to what I'm saying and put it to use. So remember to pray over your brain waves, which are also affecting your feelings, your emotions, your physical body, your physiological body, and then just in general, it affects your atmosphere around you. And just remember to pray over your brain waves and how it affects your body. And don't forget to remember, those type of freedom deliverance prayers, and to be thoughtful. Make sure you say, Heavenly Abba, my third eye and all of my chakras. Please do not let people try to target them or tamper with them, because people's chakras can be programmed like mine are. And you don't want ascended masters, whether they're human beings or entities, trying to access programmed chakras, because it is terrible. I've had 2 chakras explode on me. One leveled me, flat out leveled me. It's excruciatingly painful. So be very mindful of that and say, Heavenly Abba, Yud He Vav He, I want you to make sure, please, I give you my third eye and I give you my chakras. Don't let people or things tamper with them. If they try to, please, if they try to tamper with me and my chakras and my third eye or the MK Ultra programming that I've been exposed to, please engage them directly. Please have them knock it off and stop it right away. Please keep me invisible to my enemy please protect me from my enemy. Please stand between me and them. Please take your sword and stab it in the area between them and I, and they can never cross it to harm Keeper Seva and myself. In Yeshua's name, Selah. I don't, Christopher Gray, I don't know what you're talking about as far as readings. You definitely have the wrong person there. Nobody here does that. And if they do that, they shouldn't probably be here on my channel. I don't do anything outside of God. If he wants me to know something, he'll tell me. If not, he won't tell me. But I don't tamper with tarot cards or rune stones or energies or any of that. I don't mess with any of it. No way, Jose. Isn't that a beautiful picture? I wish I had a cigarette sometimes. But I don't, because I'm quitting. I wasted enough of my body on that. I told my friends no more buying them for me either. But I dropped them anyway. So let me stay on Project UNtrigger. Heavenly Abba, what else am I forgetting for Project UNtrigger? Remember, if you fall under spiritual attacks by any like Egyptian deities, gods or goddesses, however you word it, make sure to look them up actually. Look up what they were a god or goddess over, and then start praying on all of those areas of your life for yourself as well as for your loved ones. Pray over your brain waves and how it affects your body and your emotions. Your hormones is another thing. Now listen, another thing too for Project UNtrigger is this. Don't pay attention to this world. They've got the WHO and they've got the CDC. Who? What? Huh? And isn't it that guy dressed as a 2-year-old girl that's in charge of the WHO talking to us about mental health? I thought, well, anyway, the CDC. This world is burnt out on their CDC and what Dr. Fuckus and all these other losers say. And it's really only a power struggle among the elites, among the Illuminati, whatever name you put on them, among the most strongest, biggest, top 10 Bilderberg families there are. Bilderberg is the name of a place, a group of people, a meeting name. Bilderberg is not a bloodline per se. Which reminds me, I will be exposing Reggie pretty soon and what's going on with her. I guess she's going to be speaking at conferences, but there's something off, and I really need to speak about it. That Jesse Sesbar. Anyway, I really need to worry about protecting the other survivors and the other victims that are just waking up to become survivors by overcoming the trauma and torture and memories that are flooding back. I really need to protect them so they don't get hurt, misled, or otherwise. And I can see that happening. And it's a very big concern of mine. I think it's Faspo or Fisher. It depends which name she wants to go by. But you know, this world has their WHO. They have the CDC. They have all of these things. Paula, they have all of these things. And I started to think, wow, this has got to be a trigger word, because every time I hear CDC or the WHO or Fauci or whatever word, I'm starting to cringe and my stomach's like fluttering with angst and I don't want to hear it. So CDC, instead of this world CDC, when I hear the people that are in this world and of this world and could care less to leave this world, and they start talking about and who and CDC, well, this is what I think of. Critical Doctrine of Christ. CDC. Critical Doctrine of Christ. You could say Crucial Doctrine of Christ. What's critical? What's crucial? Okay, first I repent to Yeshua, get my full armor on, get covered in the blood of the Lamb, get filled and overflowed, blessed and baptized in his Holy Spirit in Yeshua's name. Serve him. How can I serve you? What can I do for you? Who's in trouble? Who can I pray for? What can I pray for? So what's important? CDC, the critical doctrine of Christ. What's important to Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ of Nazareth? Well, what's the most crucial thing to my Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ of Nazareth? What's important to him? What's critical to him? What's crucial to him that I can do for him? And then maybe it's freedom, deliverance, prayers. He leads me through it. He leads me through it. Alphabet organizations. Thank you, Aaron. So I don't pay attention to this world CDC. I just pay attention to Yeshua HaMashiach and his critical doctrine of Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach. So be careful of the Gwen towers. Have those frequencies, EMF, ELF, and scalar, and different frequencies. Sonar that is hitting us. Remember to pray over our bodies so we don't reap the benefits of these waves hitting us, because these waves deteriorate our bodies, our teeth, and our minds at a much quicker rate than just the typical old age process. Remember to pray over your MK Ultra programming that you don't know about and that's hidden, that you haven't seen. Remember what's unknown and hidden that you don't know yet. Remember to pray over that and have Heavenly Abba tell you what is hidden and why they hid it on you, why you don't know. And, there's a lot of levels of programming I have no idea that even exist. I put it all in Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh's hands, Heavenly Abba's hands, in Yeshua's name. 313, that's where I grew up, 313 White Neck Road. I see those numbers. I know that's, another way that they fractured my mind and wired my mind. But that's just one way, not all the ways. Remember, guys, don't have idols in your house. Don't have symbols in your house, especially the Star of David, which is Remphane. Get rid of the Messianic seal of the Jerusalem Church, too. Get rid of all seals. Get rid of fake teachers and false prophets. Teachers that call themselves rabbi and just teachers that don't know what they're talking about. And if they do talk about the Bible, they never talk about Revelation. And Revelation right now is exactly what we need to be reading. And that's another reason why I'm reading Revelation, is because from what I remember in the dumps with Janice programming, Last Day and End Time programming, I was programmed to Revelation. I was programmed to Revelation, Daniel and Enoch, and I can't remember the other canons, but right off the bat, Daniel, Enoch, and Revelation I was programmed to in the dumps. Other people, and I don't know if it's true or not, but other people said that I was programmed to all the books of John. I think they just said that to deter me from reading it, because those people were handlers and paid black money to handle me, or at least their money was black because they had ill intentions, and maybe they weren't direct handlers, but just themselves ill intentions. But not to get off on a tangent. Yeah, I pray against spirits that make us miss our opportunities, lose opportunities, steal from us, steal finances, steal cherished things from us. May it be returned to us, Heavenly Abba. Please don't let the kingdom of darkness always prevail over us, even in those small little manners. Make them give back to us what's rightfully due, especially before you remove them from the earth, because Abba in Revelation talks all about the tares being removed. We're not going anywhere, guys. He's removing the tares. We're the meek, we inherit the earth. Hence, another reason why there's no rapture. That's why you should go find Jeremiah, because Jeremiah talks about the second Exodus, hence no rapture. Also, okay, So what else can I tell you about Project UNtrigger? I have more. He's giving it to me. But so far, that's what I got for Project UNtrigger. And I'll get you more of the Bible verses, but together we're going to deprogram from all the Greek letters that we were programmed to in the deep underground military bases. We're going to kill and conquer all that programming. And when I read Psalm 119, we're going to do it together. So we can talk about what I do remember of the Greek MK Ultra programming, but then we're going to talk about the UNtrigger, which is the Hebrew that Yeshua HaMashiach is teaching us about in Psalm 119. And Psalm 119 teaches us about every single letter in the Hebrew language. So we'll step out of the MK Ultra funk and fog and programming of the Greek language, and we'll step into the living language of Yeshua and Heavenly Abba, our one true living infinite God and creator, the Alpha and the Omega. Well, in Psalm 119, he's speaking Hebrew, not Greek, specifically Hebrew. So I can step out of the MK Ultra fog and into his living light. So out of the alpha, beta, delta, gamma programming, out of that MK Ultra programming, I can step out of that darkness and into Yeshua's living light by reading about the Hebrew letters, the Hebrew language in Psalm 119. I can debrief from the ugly and then learn about what Yeshua is trying to teach me in his Holy Bible, which is his living logos that still cures and heals us today. I don't think I'm going to get to reading Revelation today. I'm sorry, but there is one more part I want to get through with you before, actually, I do continue to read Revelation to you. And I hope you guys don't mind, if you would not mind to indulge me to do so. Now, a lot of you, this is repetition, and you probably don't want to hear about it. But I'm going to go through it again. Okay? I'm going to go through it again. Pause. All right. I didn't mean for that to happen because it was live streaming. I got you there. I don't need that up. I'm missing your comments, guys. Please forgive me. I don't mean to be rude. I will get these documents ready. I will run a video where it's just I talk about only my drawings and solely my drawings, and I'll show you my entire dream book, and I'll describe every dream to you. But I do want to keep this about Revelation. I went through my dream book today, and I picked out the drawings that I believe are of the dreams and visions, mainly the dreams that Heavenly Abba gave to me about Revelation in our Bible. So we've read, quite a bit of Revelation. I would say more than half. Well, if you don't mind, this will be a middle video. Can I have one moment, please? Excuse me. All right. Now, I don't know if this is, I'm going to speculate. I don't know if this is when Nibiru passes over, but this is when gravity lets go and people, actually it's when electromagnetism lets go and people literally lift off the earth and float off into air, and some of them literally float off into orbit. They literally float off into the sky. Some people kind of hover on the ground, but they're floating, and they'll go up like 10, 20, 30 feet, and they'll be hovering, and I've seen them in this dream screaming, I'm not doing it on purpose, I'm not doing it on purpose. Some of them came, not many, a couple of them came back down, but most of them floated off into the sky, into the air, into the outer space, into orbit. I believe this is Isaiah 24. In the dream, I was walking with someone near a bridge with flowing water, and as we crossed over the bridge, gravity, for lack of better terms, basically electromagnetism, let go, and we started to float, and I got worried, and I grabbed onto a blade of grass, and I started praying, Yeshua HaMashiach, I'm going to hang on, I don't want to float off, I don't know what's going on. I should rewind a little bit. In the dream, I was walking with another person, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and we were walking over a bridge that had beautiful flowing water through it. So like, this is like, I don't know, grass and just a sunshiny day, grass, and then you see the water and then the bridge. Well, me and this other boy were walking around. All of a sudden the sky turns real dark and real black. And that's when gravity let go. People started to lift off the face of the earth. Some of them floated off into orbit. A couple hovered. I and the other boy hung on literally to a blade of grass, and our feet were above our head. It felt like we were being sucked up almost. And our feet were above our head, but I kept hanging on to the blade of grass saying, Yeshua, Yeshua, please don't let me go anywhere. I'm hanging on. Please don't let this blade of grass let go. Please, I want to keep my feet on the ground. Some people say that this could be Nibiru. I don't know. But it's something that will come true. It could be Isaiah chapter 24 in the Bible. But we just hung on to earth. That's an event that will come true. Heavenly Abba, here you go, no rapture. I wrote it clear as day. It's not that hard. That's because the rapture's false doctrine. The three angels of Revelation 14, we read that, right, already? I think. If not, we're going to read it. UNtrigger gave me a vision. A vision or dream. I think it was an awake vision, dream type thing, of the two witnesses. It was around winter time when this happened, and I remember standing in a public place, or at least it seemed, and I was around a whole bunch of people, and on the TV, all of a sudden I see the two witnesses, as strange as that sounds, and in the dream, here I am, and when I see the two witnesses, I end up running through the crowd of people and out the door. And it was winter time. I ran out into the snow and fell down onto my knees and started praying for the two witnesses. This person saw me running, came and followed me out the door and ran over and said, Holly, are you okay? And I said, am I okay? Don't you know who that is? And they said, no. I said, how do you not know who that is? That's the two witnesses of Revelation. How do you not know that? Are you kidding me? You told me you're saved and you know Jesus. How do you not know that? You lied to me. This is the seventh trumpet. This is not the rapture. Mountaintop people at Mountaintop Church tried to tell me that this is the rapture. Many plastic Christians that are done up on man's traditions as well as false doctrines tried to say this is the rapture. No, it is not. Stop putting words in my mouth and stop turning around what Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh showed me. This is when he gives off a loud call, and Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh sounds his voice one time, but in that one sound, he says all of our names. So I will first see him up in the sky. I will hear him call, and I will come running to him, and I will follow him. I see these angels coming down. My body gets stronger. Something happens with my body. I'm still on the earth. I never leave the earth. But as I'm on the earth, I can hear my shepherd yell my voice, and for other of his chosen, this is him up here. His angels start coming down. These are the orange kind of star asterisk looking things. His angels come down. Here's the earth, and here I am. And I come running, I see him there, and something happens to my body, so to speak. And then at this moment, all of a sudden, I no longer feel like I've been kidnapped. I feel like I am returned to him, and I am right there with him in his arms on that seventh trumpet. Because when that seventh trumpet blows, that's when he returns here physically on earth. That's his second return. See me? I'm still on the earth when all of these angels come down and he calls, and I have these changes. I see him, I hear him, I can see the angels. I stay on earth. There's no leaving. I pray for you, Paula. I'm so sorry I haven't been in my chat room. Forgive me. Okay, this is the two resurrections. The first resurrection happening at the beginning of Yeshua's 1,000 years of reign. When does Yeshua's 1,000 years of reign begin? When the seventh trumpet's blown. So when the seventh trumpet's blown, and that's his second return, the mystery of him is revealed, so to speak, I believe. So that's the seventh trumpet. The first resurrection commences. Everybody comes back alive. In this drawing, it's one dream, but it's hard to draw a dream. It's two resurrections in one. It's just I drew the bad people and the bad entities together, and I put them in a box so they wouldn't come alive off the page, because they're bad. They're outside of God's love and will. These are all the people and angels and things and me that are inside Heavenly Abba's will. There's two resurrections. On the second resurrection, everything comes back alive. But that's because it's Judgment Day. And the devil was standing in the line with all of us. See, on Judgment Day, everything falls away. This is just like the resurrection. You know, when it says you're caught up in the sky, everything's away, you're caught up in the sky. Okay, when this resurrection happens, I don't see any earth. I don't see any heaven. We are in nowhere. We're somewhere, I guess you'd call it the sky, but there's nothing around us. It's the first resurrection that Abba shows me, and then the second resurrection Abba shows me. This mic is hot. I can feel it for some reason. Don't know why that is. There you go. Right? So, well, Judgment Day. Judgment Day. There's no heaven. There's no earth. Look, this is the scenery. There's nothing. Yeshua, sitting at the right hand of Heavenly Abba. There I am. Lucy, Satan, the ancient dragon, serpent, ancient evil. We were all in the lineup. This is Judgment Day. Even the human beings will cast judgment on the angels. Lucy gets all scared and whatnot and runs out of line and hides behind Yeshua or Heavenly Abba's throne. Literally. I mean, we're all lined up for Judgment Day. Sheep or goats, right here. Lucy gets scared. He runs behind Abba's throne and he says, "Don't let them hurt me. Don't let them hurt me." And he's this little short dude. He's tiny compared to how big they are. No, I'm not like a master artist. I never claimed to be. I did say I was a writer. A poet, actually. But, so anyway, that's Judgment Day. Right? On Judgment Day, Satan, the devil, is thrown into the lake of fire, where 1,000 years prior, at the beginning of Yeshua HaMashiach's reign, when the seventh trumpet sound, right? When the seventh trumpet sound, hang on, where'd it go? The first of two resurrections takes place. Yeshua reigns for 1,000 years. Then Lucifer, not the beast of the sea, Apollyon, and not the beast of the land, the false prophet, but after Yeshua's 1,000 years of reign, Lucifer, ancient evil, will make war against Yeshua again, and he will be defeated and lose, and Yeshua will throw him into the lake of fire where the false prophet and Apollyon were thrown 1,000 years prior at the beginning of his reign. So once Yeshua defeats him, we get Judgment Day. Then, after Judgment Day, from what Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh has shown me and from what I read in the Bible, 444 at the top, when Yeshua HaMashiach, when Heavenly Abba came in human form and he, our God and Creator, was crucified, there were 3 crosses. He hung on the middle cross, and then a murderer to one side and a thief to the other, and the thief repented and apologized. Right? Well, the 444 resembles the 3 crosses, and one of them Yeshua hung on. I don't know. Sometimes Abba throws triple digits at me, and when I see triple digits, I look what they mean up in Hebrew, and then I pray for that. So 444 would be creation, but I also pray because that's a sign to me of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, and when he was crucified, the 444 to me is a sign of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh and Yeshua and the Holy Spirit. But no, seriously, the 444, I have to say, is when he was crucified. He died for our sins, he resurrected, and he ascended to heaven. I don't know. Otherwise, I don't know what the 444 means. It's just something he's always shown me and I've always seen. But triple digits, I tend to feel that he's calling me into prayer. But as far as my drawings of 444, that's him. That's him when he was sacrificed. That's him. So, like, if the mystery of God is revealed on the 7th trumpet, then we're going to see the mystery of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh revealed on the 7th trumpet. I don't know. It's just numbers I saw from Abba. Okay, so after Judgment Day, right? Sheep or goats. Well, after Judgment Day, we get a new heaven and earth. We get a new Jerusalem that comes down out of the sky. This earth goes up in a torch. We get a new earth, a new heaven. The new Jerusalem comes down out of the sky. We get glorified bodies. That's the new Jerusalem, right? So when we read in Revelation in the Bible, the New Jerusalem, that's it. That would be chapter 21. So let me explain it. I don't know if you ever heard Jonathan Cahn discuss the temple doors. If you've ever heard that story about the temple doors. I'm getting so hungry. I've got to actually go. Hang on one second. Just give me a minute. I'm hungry. better let her have it. I mean, you can't have any. No, you cannot. No, you can't. Save up. Come here, Pat. When I'm done with the video, we'll go outside and sit outside. Sava. Come here, Sava, Sava. I got cheese. Oh. Come here, Sava. But I left you. If you don't come eat it, Keeper's gonna eat it. Alright. Look out, honey. Look out, sweetie pie. Okay, excuse me. And I don't mean to be standing up for this whole thing, but my hips were killing me yesterday for after that 4-hour thing, reading the Revelation. I think what I'm going to have to do is finish talking to you guys about my drawings, and then tomorrow we will pick up finishing reading Revelation and doing that Bible study. But hey, Goot, how are you? Caring for themselves in appropriate ways. Disassociate. Oh, yeah. I grabbed a couple pieces of cheese, Goot, and honestly, I put something in the oven and it'll be finished cooking in 15 minutes. So I grabbed a quick snack to put something in my stomach and get used to eating. Not enough to fill up, just 2 slices of cheese. And then I put something in the oven. Actually, I'll tell you, I'm sinning with my bad appetite. When I went to buy my mother crab cakes, I ended up buying crab cakes too. And that's shellfish, they're bottom feeders, and the Bible says don't eat that, as well as pork. And I've screwed up on my diet. Hey, Joni, how are you? Joni McCarrow, it's so great to see you. I love you. I love you. It's great to see you. I think of you often. And when I think of you, I think of the blue juice, and then I think of the SSP. Debbie, I called you today. It's great to see you. I'm not going to be able to read the second half of Revelation because I've already been yammering on for an hour and a half about Project UNtrigger. So when I finish this, I want you to turn back around and actually listen to it again, Debbie, because I talk about Project UNtrigger, and then I talk about how we can go from the MK Ultra fog into the Bible and start reading and come out of that darkness and into Yeshua's living light. And he's the way out of that darkness. And I think I found interesting stories in the Bible to keep us entertained. So while we were programmed on child fairy tales, I feel Heavenly Abba's given me the storylines of things that are really interesting in the Bible. But I'm not done learning the Bible, because there's stuff the Bible talks about angels and an angel stirring waters. Well, I want to get to that story, and apply it to so when I'm triggered to whatever program, I can come up with a storyline. When that program is triggered, I can untrigger by using the storyline Abba gives me that's entertaining, and entertaining enough that I want to open up my Bible and read it. I know you're struggling. If you can't watch it, I understand, Debbie, but you could just listen. It gives you ideas. If not, don't worry. I can tell you on the phone when we get to talk. I'll be praying for you, though, Debbie. I know you're struggling, because so am I. But I had that breakthrough where I can read my Bible now when I'm triggered. And I wanted to share Project UNtrigger with all of you. I've been working with Brooke Federline on Project UNtrigger too. And you know that Brooke Federline has a book, and she talks about, she knows the prayers, freedom deliverance prayers from Masons. She has the prayers for the different brain waves, alpha, beta, delta, gamma. So she has prayers where she prays over the brain waves. And so here I am. So she's got the prayers, and she's got her book with those prayers to help us break those chains, break the programming, and break the programming's effects that it has on us mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So Brooke Federline's book, I think, is a vital part, because when we're finding our way out, what do we pray? Who do we go to? What do we do? What do we say? How do you know what to say? How do you know what to pray for? What do you say during a freedom deliverance? Can you do it on your own? All these questions come forward. So I figure that, while we're cycling around in our chaotic mind, and it's really hard for us to get through things, that Heavenly Abba is giving me the most exciting storylines in the Bible to grab my attention, to pull me out of that, and to get me reading his living logos. And that's a lot better than being triggered with the MK Ultra programming and the chaos. I mean, waking up in the mornings with a head full of chaos is never anything fun. But let me get back to my last drawing, and then I'm going to end it. Ooh, I'm praying for you in Melbourne, Australia, and everybody. I pray so, Goots. You can hear the oven just got warm enough. I was about to run over for it. But, okay, so this is the New Jerusalem. First, I want to explain something. I don't know if you've ever heard Jonathan Cahn's CD. It used to be free up online, but now you got to get in touch with his ministry, the Jerusalem Center in Lodi, New Jersey. So he's got this story about the temple doors. And apparently it's some Bible story, I guess, or maybe just some story about rabbis who have this spiritual dream. I guess there's behind the temple doors. Jonathan Cahn, Cahn, talks about behind the temple doors. And it's something about, that's not fair. It's something about behind the temple doors is something about these rabbis that have this dream that they wake up, and this dream, these rabbis, a group of rabbis, has some sort of dream. I forget all the details, but it's something like these rabbis start to peek behind the temple doors. And when they look behind the temple doors, they see that someone has been in the temple and someone has opened the drapes. Someone has opened the drapes and the sun is coming through the window. I think even the window could have been opened. I'm not quite sure, but it's a story that Jonathan Cahn tells about behind the temple doors. I have the CD in here. I could actually play it for you. I could play it for you. But anyway, behind the temple doors, this thing about the rabbis, they see behind the temple doors and into the temple, and it's only like, the holy of holy priestly priests are allowed to see behind the temple door. And, if you look behind the temple door, it's almost the equivalent of standing too close to the ark if you don't have permission. Well, so I heard Jonathan Cahn tell his story about that, and I was like, oh boy, now that gives me an idea of what Heavenly Abba showed me. Well, behind the temple doors, I'm the one that opened the drapes, and I'm the one that opened the windows. It was me. So Abba brought me to a place, and in this place I remember waking up, and I was in a room. It had kind of like it had a big bed with a canopy over it, and heavy curtains and heavy drapes. I remember a table and chairs, and it wasn't just that it was a bedroom. It was also like there was almost like a lounge area that, had a table and chairs, and a couch, and there were, there was a window there, and it was this whole big, elegant looking room. I believe there was a closet somewhere on the other end of the room, but in the dream that Abba gave me, I woke up. I was sleeping in this bed, and it was this big, beautiful canopy bed with heavy, fine, beautiful linens. And I woke up, and something about the place almost felt like home. It had reminded me of when Grandma and Grandpa Gabery raised me on White Neck Road, and what it felt like growing up with them, and how devastated I was to lose them, and eventually the property I grew up on. Well, it's not that I lost it. It just, anyway. But it was given up, so it was no longer my home. So, but anyway, in the dream, I woke up on this beautiful bed with a canopy, and I had gotten up, and I walked over, and I saw like these big, beautiful windows. It just looked so huge and so elegant. And I walked over, and I opened up the drapes, and I saw this beautiful, brilliant day shining, and the sun beaming in. And I felt so content, and that feels like such a weak word to use, but I felt beyond content and happy and full and good feeling. And I think I went to open the window, and when I opened the window, I felt this warm breeze come in, and just the smell of the air, and it was so beautiful. And it was home. Like, it was home to me, like almost like my grandparents' bedroom at their house was my home. They raised me, so it didn't matter what bedroom my mother had or wherever she was living, what bedroom she had set aside for me there. It didn't matter, because my home and the feeling of home was always with my grandparents in the bedroom they had for me at their house. Well, in this dream, this was home. And as I'm standing at the window with the drapes open and the window open and the breeze coming in, and it's home, and it's like, where have I been almost? I'm looking out of the windows because I open up the drapes and I look out, and it's beautiful. I open up the windows, and in comes the warm breeze. I'll get to the rest of that. So I'm opening up the windows and feeling the breeze, and sure enough, I start to hear voices, and there's voices of men. And I get startled. And in the dream, I'm so scared and I'm so startled. I run over. I run back over to where I had been sleeping, and I believe it was this beautiful canopy bed, so to speak. And I run over, and I hide underneath the covers. And there's so many pillows and covers and ruffles and elegantness that for a skinny, scrawny body like mine to hide, nobody would notice it. They would think, oh, there's a couple of sheets that are just wrinkled, no big deal. Or there's a couple of pillows there, no big deal, right? They wouldn't notice it, but I heard these men and their voices, and I couldn't understand what they were saying, but it was so startling and scary. I hid underneath the covers of the bed on this canopy bed. And at the door, I hear the men try to open the door and creak it open, and I hear them, and they're trying to listen, and then I hear them looking through the open, like the creak of the door, and they're looking underneath at the bottom between the floor and the bottom of the door, and they are jiggling the door handle, and they're trying to open the lock, and they're trying to get in, and they actually succeed opening the door just a crack. And when they open the door just a crack, they look in, and I hear them say something about the windows, and somebody move the windows. And then I felt Heavenly Abba's hand on my back, and I just hear him, and I feel his hand at my back. So I feel him kind of soothe me and lull me back to sleep, but I also hear him go, shh, to calm me down, because I was really frightened at the men and their voices, and I couldn't really understand what they were saying. But then when they had seen these men had commented on the window, I heard these men pull the door back closed. But they wouldn't have been able to open this door anyway. They weren't going to be able to open that door more than an inch anyhow, because Abba wouldn't allowed it. But I was in there, and I was the one that opened the drapes and opened the window. In the dream, Heavenly Abba had showed me what I believe is the New Jerusalem. It's similar to what he had shown me about heaven when I was 13 years old and my papa had passed away. My papa was SCI Navy. SCI is a clearance in the Navy, and that's what my grandfather was. He was on a minesweeper ship at the end of World War II. So that's his involvement. But when he had passed away, Heavenly Abba had visited me and took me out of body and into heaven and showed me heaven. And he said that when my papa died, that he would now be my father. And it was really hard losing my grandfather, and I didn't meet my biological father yet at that time in my life, so it was very difficult at 13 years old, losing everything I knew. And he had given me an experience in heaven, and I have a drawing of it, of being in heaven when I was 13 years old and Abba took me. It's in my dream book right now. But anyway, so because of that experience, I did have some sort of gauge as to the experience. And we are always to test the spirits and test ourselves in Yeshua's name, but we never are to test Heavenly Abba. But when I had this experience, of course, I tested all spirits and principalities as well as myself in Yeshua's name, but this experience held. And because, hang on. Yes, Groot is always good when I exit off the side. It's always for food purposes. Hang on 1 second, excuse me. Okay, now that I'm boring everyone, my views are going to go down until I start talking about interesting stuff, but this is interesting to me too. So, okay, this, I believe, is the New Jerusalem. Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh was there with us. He was there in the middle. He was it. He lived with us, and how about this? I'm just going to stick to what he showed me. He was in the middle. It was him. I was there. This is me. I was looking out the window. Here's the room I was in. Those were the peeping Tom rabbis peeking through the temple doors. They were lucky Abba let them see. But anyway, Abba was there with us. He was in the middle. I lived with him. He lived with me. And it was so beautiful. Like, I couldn't even really be able to draw you the buildings and the structures that I saw. I'm not talented. I'm not skilled like that. But the structures were so beautiful. And he was the center of it. And there was these rivers flowing with water, and then beautiful walkways, and all these beautiful sparkling colors. The trees and flowers were magnificent, and the smell that flowed through the air when the breeze came, and just the feel of being there. It was content. There was no hurt or pain. There was no hunger. There was no anything. There was no strife the way we're feeling it now. There were no chemtrails to pull us down to make our ears ring. The food wasn't contaminated, It's the New Jerusalem, right? So that's the drawing of the New Jerusalem. And Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh was there living among us in the middle. Thanks, Victoria. I appreciate it. So if I could encourage you guys to know that the Holy Bible is true, real, living, as well as coming true, and it gets you talking to Yeshua, and then you accept him for what he's done for you, which was the ultimate sacrifice. See, as an SRA survivor, that's DID, it's real easy for me to... The biggest character that resonates for me in the Holy Bible is Yeshua HaMashiach. It's real easy for me to relate to Yeshua HaMashiach, which is he in human form. Yes, I can relate to him in human form. Yeshua HaMashiach was used as a satanic sacrifice. I was left as sacrifices, and I was used to summon in entities and deities and different beasts from the wild and the evening night. From the likes of Skinwalker Ranch. The experiments they do at Skinwalker Ranch is to leave dead animals and alive animals tied outside or out in the field, and leave human as well as animal sacrifices outside to summon in these entities to see if these different things they see out at Skinwalker Ranch, if they're real and what they like. So yes, they use animal and human sacrifice. And yes, I believe that I was left at a time, and because of the description and because of how I remember, how my memory reads, I think it could have very well been Skinwalker Ranch, where they left me as a living sacrifice next to a dead human body that was rotting with other animals, and they were rotting, and we were left out in the field to summon in those things. So, yeah, Project UNtrigger is really important. I think I need to heat it up more. I'll be right back. I took it out of the oven too quick. I really have to start working out again so I can get my posture back. I'm always like hunched over and looking down. I lost my good posture. So, thank you. Exiting stage left. Yeah, but, so, yeah, the blood of slaughter draws in not so good entities that goes to feed on the energy of destruction. Go vegan, right? Man, I tell you, I was scared crapless. Seeing all of that. So, you know, Yeshua was used as a sacrifice. They tortured him. They beat him. I wonder what else they did to him. I can't help but ask questions. And asking questions, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. I'm not saying anything. I'm not making a statement. It's a question. It's for further understanding to a subject. But I don't know. That's Project UNtrigger. So I wanted to explain that and where I'm going with it. And I wanted to share my drawings before I finish talking about Revelation, because I do believe that when Abba tells us about the New Jerusalem in the Bible, that we get one, and he's telling us the truth. He's not lying to us, and the way he explains it is exactly the way it is. I, on the other hand, am not an artist, and I'm doing the best I can with what I have. So, and I'm doing the best I can. I hope that this, like, goes to... I hope my drawings that I showed you, like, hope to, like, go towards encouraging you and inspiring you and, like, getting you to go closer towards Heavenly Abba, Yud He Vav He, and, like, not be scared to talk to him. Just, you know, talk to him. It's better you start talking to him than just ignore him, or pass him off or fight with him. You know, definitely surrender. Don't be a stubborn bullhead. Don't be thick-headed. Give him a chance and get to know him. And don't put your will above his will. So, all right, on that note, you can hear that I'm going to exit left or right or however the camera is. You know what I'm going to do to you guys? I'm going to change around my living room. And then when I go to exit, you guys will be thinking I'm running into the wall when really I'm not. I'm just on the other side. I'll make sure I get that on the other side. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm sorry I did not read Revelation, but I will read Revelation. We will do it. We will finish it. Thanks for letting me show you Project UNtrigger as well as my drawings, and I hope that you have a great evening. And I must run. It's been 2 hours, and I love you, I love you, I love you. I'll see you guys later, and we will read Revelation together. Sorry to be off on a tangent, and I hope I didn't bore you guys too greatly, even though I had like 4 people the whole time. That's okay. That's because I keep blocking people. Do you know how many people I blocked? But hey, don't worry. It was only trolls I blocked, which means they're going to open up 10 more accounts, which means I'll have 20,000 more new subscribers, and I'll feel really popular. And really, it's the same old people that I just blocked. It's that they went and opened up new accounts now to get at me. I'll show you the rest of them too, Tommy. I'll try to finish that document so that way I can send it to you. So, yes, Victoria. Bon appetit. I love you too, Victoria. All right. All right. I love you guys very much. I'm going to go eat, and then after that, hopefully I'll go find Trouble and walk Keeper. I'll stay out of trouble. I'll stay out of trouble. I've got enough going on right now. But thank you for listening to what I've got so far for Project UNtrigger. I can't wait to see what more Heavenly Ava gives to me, because it can only go to further help you guys get out of that MK Ultra funk as well and closer to him. And I want you to be closer to him. So yeah, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. My Shalom homies. My Shalom homies. Shabbat Shalom, Yeshua blessings. I hope that he answers all your personal requests made of him, that he protects you, provides for you, and spoils you with more spiritual gifts. And I love you so much. I'll see you later. Unless I get bored and I come back. But I'll do a Holy Bible study. I'll keep up with them. I really will, I promise. See you later.